back to the Creatures of the Night podcast. We've been on hiatus since I think November, but life gets a little hectic and complicated. But I think we should be going more on pace going forward. So happy 2023, David.
Happy 2023.
I'm Narciso, by the way, with my co-host David Gonzalez. This would technically be episode 5. Can you believe it, David? 5 episodes already.
Yeah, I mean,
At
I
this
guess I
pace,
can. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I guess it was 5. I don't even remember all of them.
no, it's 5. It's
Yeah,
5. Yeah. At this pace, when we retire, we may have 10. Who knows?
we may have done five out of X amount of months.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, we're not making
Um.
our money generating revenue from YouTube, obviously.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Badass.
This is specifically nothing more but a passion project, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think this is basically just going to be kind of like a little bit of a recap for us in 2023, what we've watched so far, TV and movie wise. Talk a little bit about John Carpenter. His birthday was January 16th.
Okay,
And
we're
just
not too late. Not too late.
not too late. So we'll
Thank
kick it
God
off.
he didn't pass away in the meantime.
Oh God, David, Jesus, you heard it here first on the
You better
podcast. Now,
upload it. You better upload it quick.
no, no, no.
March
Yeah.
9th. March 9th.
So I guess if we're talking about him, we might as well kick off the podcast episode talking about John Carpenter.
Alrighty.
So it was his birthday. Everybody made a lot of hoopla about it. I'm a huge John Carpenter guy, always been. I think his rebellious style of guerrilla filmmaking has always kind of appealed to me.
Mhm.
And ever since I was a kid, like hooked on like the original Halloween and stuff on, I always liked his stuff. When we worked in movie theaters, I remember we ran like vampires. We were like projectionists at the time and stuff like that. Even Ghost of Mars, which is pretty
Yeah.
awful. So you and me have a lot of history of John Carpenter stuff. And how about you? Were you ever like technically influenced by him in any which way, or always looked up to him?
I would say yeah. As a kid, I loved John Carpenter movies. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize exactly which ones were his when you were a kid, but
Yeah.
definitely, like you said, when we were in film school, when we were like into it, and we were in our early 20s, yes, John Carpenter was definitely. We always talked about it. We always referenced it.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, like you said, he had that guerrilla style,
Yep.
and he was like that director that you could relate to because he didn't get lucky right away. He worked with what he got. He was creative and he had a team.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in film school, you have your crew, and then that's who you trust,
Yeah.
So we're doing all these low budget movies, and then yeah, we looked up to John Carpenter, Sam Raimi, Peter
Mm-hmm.
Jackson. I mean, he was about to blow up at that point with Lord of the Rings.
Robert Rodriguez was also
Rodriguez, yeah,
another
we were
like
into those kind of like
style
underground,
guys.
the ones that did these movies that we liked, but they were low budget. And then we realized when we watched the making of, shit, that's something we could do that.
Right.
We could do it. We just have to be creative about it.
Right.
He was one of
Exactly.
those. And then, of course, John Carpenter has gone through many ups and downs. I mean, how old is he, by the way? Because he looks older than he is, right? Is he 70?
Maybe because he's a smoker. He is born in 1948.
Okay,
So
so he's 70 something, 74, 75. Because my dad was born 49. So 70, yeah.
Yeah.
But he always looked like a man. You see all those black and white photos.
John Carpenter to me has always looked the same.
Yeah.
Even when he was young, he looks like he does now.
He looks like those scenes in those movies where they just get the same actor and they dye his hair and he's young.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bill Murray and Scrooge, when they go back in time, they just give him a wig. It's supposed to be.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
He always had the glasses and the crazy hair and the big mustache. He looked skinny guy,
Yeah.
He's chain smoking.
And he always, you could tell he's into it, he's passionate, but he was like always in the interview, he's one of those guys that's kind of like fuck off. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, he's definitely a no nonsense guy, and he's I think partially why we used to like him a lot was because he's kind of like an anti-studio guy. He doesn't
Yes.
play with the studios. He doesn't get along with them, which I think at the end is what fucked him over and why he never really got all the projects that he wanted to after a certain
Yeah.
time. Like
It's,
I think he hit a low point where he was like barely getting his movies out there, and they were just getting lower and lower budget. Like we were saying, Ghost of Mars. I think probably Vampires was his last film that he had a decent budget, and I don't think Vampires was with a major studio either. That was already like straight up him funding it with whoever he can get to work with him at the time.
yeah, I think it was released by Sony, but I think it's always production problems every time you see. I have like the special edition Arrowhead copy of Vampires. So that's one
Okay,
of my favorite guilty
I
pleasures.
like Vampires. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a great documentary. Yeah, it was always hard to fund, and the budget was cut down. That's why when we did the review many years ago, you can tell the
Hmm.
movie was chopped up and shortened. Like
Yes.
kind of like a George Romero thing where they have a vision, but they don't have enough pull to just do
Yeah,
it.
they have a big scope, but the studio keeps like bringing it down to earth, and it's like it
And it's
sucks
gonna be good.
because
It's gonna be good, but it's not one of those Main Street movies where you can take a risk.
yeah.
Always like, oh, it's gonna be good, but it's not gonna really make a lot of money, like Romero and all that kind of even Tarantino to a point.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
Tarantino's how famous is he? But his movies don't make as much money as like, you know what I mean? When he's
Well,
mainstream.
they do make good money and they get critically acclaimed constantly. That's why
Yeah,
Tarantino can get away with all his shit.
yeah,
So
he does what he wants. Yeah,
he doesn't give a she doesn't care about studios putting in their 2 cents. He doesn't care about he only cares about his cut, his edit of the film and what he feels is best. And some people get lucky and they get to like have a whole career that way. And then there's other people like him where he gets to play in the field for a while until they get tired of his shit and they just kind of like
John
I
Carpenter.
don't I don't want to say blacklisted, but I mean they kind of forced him away from the major studio machine. He did it to himself, yes, but he also I feel like he did it on purpose. I don't think he cares, to be honest with you. If you listen to him talk all the time, he doesn't give a fuck about anything that has to do with anything. I mean, he feels like he's always done what he wanted. He has no complaints. I'm sure his complaints are that he wants to keep on going and he hasn't been able to. But other than that, like all he cares about is the money. He always talks about, oh, they always tell him, oh, what do you think about this Halloween, that Halloween? He's like, I don't give a shit. All I know is that in every Halloween, I get a paycheck.
Yes, they
You
asked
know?
him about what because yeah, I was gonna say he still generates money from how many John Carpenter movies have been remade?
God,
Tons, some
the
even more than one.
thing. Oh, yeah, yeah, a bunch of crap. I mean, he literally invented this in his. I mean, he made the boogeyman and Halloween a genre on his own. He's the one that kickstarted that whole thing. You know,
And
before
how
Michael Myers, there was no boogeyman, big slasher guy. There was one
yeah,
offs, yeah, maybe, but
yeah, he was main and also how many movie titles have his name on the top? Like what Stephen King. That's really
mm,
it. Stephen King's this. I mean, they don't do that. Not even like Spielberg even does that.
no. I feel like maybe it's horror, guys. If you think about it, maybe it's like a horror community
Yeah, I
thing. I
think
don't
I, I think that's how they did the Halloween thing, and they just went with that. That was like a staple, like National Lampoons.
know. Yeah, yeah, maybe.
And then they tarnished that too. But okay, do you remember your first
Uh,
Carpenter movie? Because I don't think I know my first one I ever saw. It
I
definitely
I
wasn't
I
Halloween.
think it was Halloween for me.
I think the first one you saw.
I think so. I think I saw Halloween, and then I think probably the second one I saw became one of my ultimate favorite movies of all time. With They Live.
Okay, it probably was They Live. Now that I think about it,
And
definitely
I'm
was.
sure maybe after that it was probably The Thing. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming that was the order in which I was exposed to John Carpenter. Um, but I feel like all those, especially his early works, they're very raw in the best way. Like perfect example. Like They Live. He goes and he gets Roddy Piper to be his main star, who's a wrestler. Like nobody really would do something like that. And if you watch it, which I've seen it so many fucking times, but it has this quality about it because half of it is in black and white because of the sunglasses, half of it is in color. But it has a very quiet, minimal soundtrack. It's just the doom, 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 doom. The whole movie is like that. Or it's just
of him
very quiet
rolling
scenes,
around. And
but
that's
it's so visual because it's got the whole like propaganda style thing down to an art form, which I get a kick out of shit like that. And it made a huge impact on me. Like, so that's probably one of my all-time favorite movies, believe it or not, is They Live. I always reference it. I always think about stuff from that movie that goes on nowadays in actual society and stuff. It's crazy. He's one of those guys that he's ahead of his time, because if he were to be a guy now in his prime, I feel like he would probably be working for like Blumhouse or any of these horror things now, and it's like, and he would probably be their top guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's just at a time where he was kind of like a one of a kind guy of that genre. Not that many people would do it. Like I said, he invented the slashers basically with Michael Myers. Nobody was doing that really at the time. He did it. He jumps from horror to sci-fi to action.
Comedy, the Invisible Man movie, that was so odd.
Yes. The memoirs. Right?
Yeah, I remember liking that movie. I saw it in the theater. And the thing
I
with
don't
John
remember much
Carpenter,
about it, but I've seen it a few times back in the day. But yeah,
with John
Chevy Chase,
Carpenter,
right?
huh? Chevy Chase.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. He's
So
so
what a
prolific.
weird choice.
He has so many movies. And I think he falls in the category where like the average person, they might not know who John Carpenter is, but you say one of his movies, they're like, yeah, I saw that. Like people seen his movies, they just don't know his name. And it's weird because his name is on top of the movie.
Yeah, because it's casual.
Yeah, and a
Casual.
lot of his movies have been.
Yeah,
It's not what I want to say. Is like his movies are like The Thing. Obviously, it's a remake. It's been remade, but it's a remake. But
but it was, to be fair,
their
he
themes have
made
been
it
done before.
entirely different though.
Yeah. No, it was totally different.
Yeah.
It was almost like a prequel in itself. And then
Yeah.
then the
Yeah.
other one did a prequel on that one. Yeah. I've seen clips of the old one. It's totally different.
It's more hokey sci-fi. It still has this like
movie,
suspense, his like thriller, but his is straight horror. And and the thing with him is that almost everything he's done. I'm not talking about like the later years, or like we're talking about his movies that were kind of going down in quality, but almost everything is iconic. Escape from New York. I mean, to me, that made Kurt Russell a viable super action star. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you think about it, if you think about the characters in all his movies, the titles of his movies are super iconic movies that have inspired all kinds of filmmakers, all kinds of people throughout the years. Another thing about him that we always talk about the type of people that we liked at the time and now, which are like the more rebellious, do-it-all guys, like a Robert Rodriguez, Tarantino, whatever. He does his own scores, which I find fascinating because at this day and age, dude goes around fucking touring like with his own concerts. Okay.
That's why he had a band when he was younger too.
He had a band, but he goes on concert tours now with his son, who also now does like movie soundtracks. And they're like big synth guys. He was one of the originators of synth soundtracks. I'm a huge fan of his soundtracks. As a matter of fact, I have the
oh, nice, on LP.
Yeah, his LP with a bunch of his film covers on here, which is great. Another one that I just saw here.
He's starting to look like Michael Myers now with that. Right? It's creepy.
See, it's like him and his son.
Yeah,
it's weird. But look, another title here, another horror movie that I saw in the theaters and I always forget about, and it's very good. In the Mouth of Madness.
The Mouth of Madness. Yes. Well, that's the one with the author thing. It was very meta, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that in theaters and being freaked out. Another dark horse, like cult film of mine that I've always loved when I was a kid growing up. And he did the soundtrack to is Starman.
That's a good movie.
That's a good movie, man. Actually, I think they've been trying to reboot that one too for a while now,
That
but
kind of
of
sucks.
course they are.
It's a good movie. And another thing is obviously a big part of his movies that we grew up in are 80s movies, some 90s,
Yes.
but I think he did the 80s well. It's hard to explain. Like it wasn't an 80s movie, but he got all of it down like They Live. Total
Right.
like Reagan era feel to
Yes.
it,
Yes.
big business, big government, the whole
Mm-hmm.
problem,
Mm-hmm.
simple as the glasses, that. And then the same thing with another one like The Fog and everything. It feels very
The Fog is another really good one.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Which they
actually,
ruined it with a horrible remake.
oh yeah, yeah. Oh, actually, it wasn't that bad.
Some
I'm,
remakes are okay,
I'll
but
defend it with the really fucked up ending that it has.
I just
Oh
remember not
wait,
liking
am
it.
I mixing it up with the Mist, the
Oh no
Fog?
no no! The Mist.
Which is
Everyone
the one that
mentions that.
has? Which is the one that has Thomas Jane in it?
No, that's the Mist.
Okay, then I'm confusing it.
The Fog had the guy from Superman show. The guy from Superman Smallville. He was the main guy.
Oh God, no, I don't even think I saw that shit.
No, no, it was one of those like WB actors in it.
Oh no, no, no,
They made
no,
the they made the go the they made the pirates look like Pirates of the Caribbean because they came out right after. I
no.
don't know, everyone confuses the Mist with the Fog. Yeah, the Mist is great.
Yeah, 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 I know it's.
That's a different animal.
And then there's the Spritz. No, I'm just kidding, man.
But I've also heard which one I've never seen. I remember the score was good. We had I remember when we were in film school, like in the very beginning, like Main Street era. I had a
Uh-huh.
CD of like horror movie themes, and we used it in all of our projects. We used the theme for The Prince of Darkness. Do you remember? I've heard that movie is really good. The Prince of Darkness.
For what?
I was one of those. The one I think it was one of those ones when we were walking around. Uh, Visual communications class when we did that horrible project with Carlos.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, we would do these epic montages.
I think that's it. Carlos used that in the background. We were just talking about horrible things. We were talking crap. We use that theme. We use that CD. But the Prince of Darkness, I heard it's really good. There was a show on Netflix, something to do about a cult with the guy from there was a show on Netflix that had to do with a cult, and I heard it was very similar to the plot of in Prince of Darkness by Johncarpenter.
Hmm.
It was on Netflix. It had the guy from Priest. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. I have no idea. You threw me off with that one.
But I'm trying to think of any John Carpenter movie that I never saw. I don't remember the Village of the Damned. He remade Village of the Damned, remember?
Yes, yes.
With
Hmm.
Christopher Reeve. I don't remember watching that.
I saw that, but
About
like that, I saw. I was probably like
that was in like
16 or something.
yeah, that was
Probably the last time I saw that movie.
but
But
yeah,
yeah, it's one of those things where he's sort of a, he's sort of like how would I put it? He's sort of like a pillar of the genre overall, which I feel like he's, pretty much kind of like retired and he does his own thing. But I feel like they can use him. They need him back. Somebody should give him like a Bloomhouse or whatever and be like, look, we'll give you a budget. We'll let you do whatever the hell you want to do, but we would love to have you do a film again, I wish that would fucking happen. I wonder if studios are just so don't want to work with him because he's such a pain in the ass sometimes
maybe like
that
old man.
they don't even bother. But I find it hard to believe that all these like horror studios and stuff that are popping up left and right, none of them would be like, dude, why don't we try to get John Carpenter to do something for us? Just pay the man. I'm sure he'll fucking do it. You imagine John Carpenter's name again on a poster, directing and doing the soundtrack and all that shit. I mean, he comes back for the last Halloween movies as a consultant or whatever, which I don't believe. I believe like he just shows up, agrees with whatever they want, and then he did do the scores for.
Yeah, his son, yeah.
But I'm like, if he's doing stuff like that, I'm pretty sure you can cohort him to get him to maybe direct a small film. I'm sure he maybe would mind like getting his feet wet again. I mean, I would love to see that shit. I know for a fact there's a horde of people out there who would love to see him come back and do something. I don't know.
When we did the Halloween special, we talked about John Carpenter, and then his last like big movie was what, that movie with Amber Heard, right? The Ward. I looked it up right now. I'm looking it up right now.
I don't even know what the fuck that is.
The Ward was a movie with Amber Heard in 2010. And
And it
since
was
then,
about
he's only directed music videos. John Carpenter's Christine, but it's a music video, and John Carpenter's Escape from New York, but it's a music.
maybe he like did like new music for it.
That's what I think it is.
By the way, that's another one of my favorites. Christine. Oof.
Yeah, he did The Ward with Amber Heard in 2010, but I don't even think it came out in theaters. So his last like movie that came out in theaters for sure is Ghosts of Mars.
Wow. Ghost of Mars. Yeah, yeah. That was his last big bomb. I think that was his nail in the coffin.
And before that was Vampires, which I don't think did well. Even though
No,
I liked
Vampires
it.
didn't do well at all. It didn't do well.
It didn't do well. And I was thinking about it. I was watching Vampires the other day, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't think we vocalized it. We kept saying other movies, but we took a lot of that subconsciously with the movies we did in school with the zombie movies, with that group of people.
Oh yeah, the hodgepodge group of like, it's like a bunch of bandits
Yeah,
with their very cool style of hunting vampires with like the jeep with the pulleys and the spears and all that shit.
yeah. And that movie's great. I saw it in the theater. That's a guilty pleasure. I know it's not a great movie.
Did you get mahogany?
It got wood. We watched it a few years ago for our special, but it's so good, but it kind of leaves you hanging. It feels like it could have been. It feels like it could have been a lot better, but they got cut down. You know?
Yeah, yeah. His idea was laid out for a much bigger scope because he had the vampire hunters working with the Catholic Church.
Yeah. So they couldn't do that. So they just killed
Corrupt
them off.
cardinals and all that shit, and it could have been a world.
Like underworld kind of thing. You know?
Yeah, it could have been like every movie could have been a different part of the world with different hierarchies and monarchies or whatever in the
John Wick
religious.
universe.
Pretty much, pretty much. That movie, I love that movie though. There's so many fun things about that movie that's so also very 90s about it.
Yeah.
Like it's so over the
simple.
top. Every character is over the top, just like a Blade 2. It's always like a ragtag group of over the top people. Everybody has their own distinct style and like specialization on something and stuff. And you know that in that movie they were supposed to have Alec Baldwin, and he couldn't do it at the last second. So they're like, take my brother. He sounds just like me, and that's why they have his
Okay.
brother
He was
instead.
good. I liked his character.
Yeah. Plus, God only knows if Alec was in there, he might have ended up killing somebody for real. Who knows?
Oh yeah, that's a whole other thing. That's
Ooh,
crazy.
boy. Ooh, boy. Anyways, we'll
It's
wrap it up
happening
with John
again.
Carpenter now. But actually, you talking, whatever, made me think of even more. Like more and more movies come out. Like Christine.
Oh yeah, Christine is great.
Christine is not only great, it's one of my favorite soundtracks. That's some of his best, to me at least. His score in Christine is so good. And another one is Escape from Precinct 13.
Yeah, that's one of his
I mean,
early.
yeah, it's like so many good movies that you don't think about, and then you like start looking into it. You're like, oh yeah, he did that. Oh yeah, he did that. That's John Carpenter, bro.
And let's
Uh-huh.
talk about, I mean, sequels. I mean, he was involved in Halloweens, but he never really did another Halloween. His only sequel is technically Escape from LA, right?
Yes, yes.
And I haven't seen that since it came out. I don't remember. I remember people
bad.
had it
It's bad.
bad.
I
It
saw-
was
I
like,
saw
why
it.
would you do that?
I saw it on TV. They were playing it probably like 3 months ago. I don't know where. And I was like, oh shit, let me. Oh man, it's so. The problem with that movie, what makes it suffer more than anything, is that it was shot at a time where CGI was in its infancy when it still comes to like being the
Realistic
norm.
looking. Yeah.
Yeah, so like they try to do too much in it, and it is so bad that it's aged even worse. And it
The
just
water
turns it
stuff
into
I heard is bad.
oh god, it's so bad. It's so bad. But the CG in general is horrible. Like there's a scene with a submarine, and the submarine is all CGI, and it looks like some shit you would have seen in like a
PlayStation.
TV show in the 90s. It's really bad. Like it looks like Sequest or something. You know what I mean? It's like,
Sequest.
but it's one of those films that if it wouldn't have been for the CGI and it was too too on the nose. He was doing it on purpose, but it
Yeah,
was too like everybody had to have like a one liner. There had to be. I mean, the thing with these escape movies is that there's always like these warlord type of people that runs every different type of area, and they have funny names and they all are like on the nose. So like Bruce Campbell is the Surgeon General, and
I
his
remember that.
area, every all his chicks are all like plastic surgeryed out, and they look like something out of
Judge
an
Dredd.
insane asylum. You know, it almost became a cartoon of what part one was, and I think it just aged terribly. But it has a big cast. If you look into it, it had Steve Buscemi,
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
it has Bruce Campbell. I mean, it's like,
and
oh
I
shit, look, it has that guy, it has that guy.
and I think also that was cool when it came out for the fans, but like it was too big of a budget for a movie that the first one didn't really even do that good. You know what I mean? It was like most people were like, "What is this?"
And that's another one. How many times have we heard that they're rebooting it? And how many actors have been attached to this reboot throughout the past 10 years? Robert Rodriguez was supposed to reboot it like when we were in college or some shit. It was crazy. Since then, every once in a while in the rumor mill, you hear, oh, yeah, they're rebooting it with whatever the hot actor of the time is at the moment or whatever. It's like, he's always relevant one way or another, even if he's not working, just because he's done so much iconic shit. And Hollywood does nothing but regurgitate and try to mimic everything that worked in the past. So I'm like, just let him fucking do something. Let him do Escape 3 with an actual budget now. That would be kind of fucking cool.
That'd be
And
cool.
you imagine him with like old Pliskin now?
Super, yeah, old Kurt Russell, and then his son could be in it. Kurt Russell's son,
Oh God, don't do the
the
whole.
actor,
No, no, no.
put him in there too.
Yeah, yeah. And Clint Eastwood's son too, just for fucking shits and giggles.
Will Smith is in it with Jaden's in it too.
Oh God. All right, so we'll
What do
wrap
you
up
call
with
him?
John
Snake,
Carpenter.
Snake. Get out of that.
Get your name out of my mouth. Um,
Speaking of Oscars, it comes out Sunday. You're super excited, right?
I haven't looked at a fucking Oscar show in fucking years, bro. I could
They're
give
probably
three
gonna give it to
shits.
Spielberg for a movie
Probably.
about himself. I haven't seen any of the movies,
I
so
haven't seen it either. I didn't even know it came out yet. I'm like, that's how much I cared about it, though.
they're probably gonna give it to him. You know, it's all politics. You know all
Of
that.
course it is. Of course, it's all a big circle jerk.
The only thing, Brandon Fraser's gonna get the Oscar for being.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I heard he did really good, and it's high profile, and it's a guy, and you know what I mean. It seems like one of those Oscar movies where it's important, and we gotta he's gonna get it, and he's gonna come back to life, and he's gonna be
It's his
back in the
comeback.
Mummy. He's gonna be back in the Mummy 4. He was on Howard Stern recently, and Howard
he's
Stern
gonna
talking
bring
about
back the Dark
Mummy.
Universe. He's gonna bring back the Dark Universe
Yeah.
single-handedly.
No, they're gonna bring back the old mummies. He's like, Howard Stern was like, you know what? Fuck that. I want Encino Man too. Just old, fat Encino Man.
Holy shit! Actually, you know what? Off topic, but I thought about it the other day, and I was like, you know what? Let's talk about it on the podcast. You know that who Rico Browning is?
Rico Browning. Is that an actor?
He is the actor that played the creature from the Black Lagoon in all the underwater scenes
Originally.
originally.
Okay.
Yeah, the original movie.
Yeah.
He passed away about 2 weeks ago, or whatever.
Oh wow.
And it's funny because I had just talked about him to my wife before he passed away. Do you remember when we were in college, we had a Q&A with him? You remember every once in a while they'll get like a director from like the Directors Guild, and we'll do via conference.
I remember we did a video conference with that director from Runaway Jury. Remember?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well,
Oh man, I don't remember.
Rico Browning, I want to say that when we met him, it wasn't like a video chat. He came to see us. Like he was there, and it was a small group of us that were like, if you're interested,
Yeah.
he's the actor for. and we got to sit with him.
Where was this at?
And he actually, you know what? Yes, it was in Miami-Dade College. I got his autograph, which I wish, I don't know, I lost it God knows how many years ago that's been, you know? But it was cool because he was a Florida guy. He all that creature stuff was shot up in Florida. He
Yeah,
also
Silver Springs.
he also helped produce and make the Flipper show down here. So he's like a big Florida film guy, you know? And he just passed away. He was an older guy already, obviously. And he wasn't doing good for a long time now. But he was always at the horror conventions and stuff. So it's kind of like he's the last Universal monster
Oh, to
that
pass.
was left. He's the last one that was left. The creature was played by two guys. One played him on land and one played him in all the underwater scenes, which were the best. He was the underwater guy. Rico Browning. Just thought it'd be kind of cool. I was wondering if you remember meeting him.
Was that during like the Drew Cumming era when we were meeting all these people?
Yes. Yes. And I remember that when we spoke to him, he had on like, he almost looked like a safari hunter. He sort of had like a khaki shirt.
I know
I
it's
think he
stupid, but do you
had
know
on-
where do we? What room was it in? Was it in like
it was in
the film room, film department area, the auditorium?
it wasn't inside any of the editing rooms or anything like that. I just remember it was upstairs and it was like, yeah, it was probably I don't know, one of the film offices upstairs. I don't remember. It was a small amount of it. It was probably like 8 of us in there.
Hmm. I mean, if I'm pretty, I mean, I just don't remember. If you think I was there, probably was there. It makes
No,
sense.
you were definitely there. But I'm like, I was talking to Dina about him. I'm like, man, I actually got to
You know
meet him
you knew who
years
he
ago.
was at the time? You remembered who he was at the time?
Yeah, because no, like by name, no, but the creature of the Black Lagoon, of course. So when I think our professor, I think it was AJ Brown, maybe it was during her time that we were in her class. She would tell us, "Oh, he's gonna be here," you know. I think actually, I want to say that it was during
Film workshop?
no, maybe right before film workshop. Well, anyways, it's a tangent that the viewers are like,
Yeah, I just want to
what?
remember. I wonder who else was there. Was King there?
I don't remember, man.
It
I
probably
just
was
remember
like
I was there. I remember you were there, and like a handful of people. And I got his autograph on a. I think he had like a little card, and I think it was of the creature. It was like a black and white still, and he signed it. And I'm like, damn, I hope it pops up somewhere one day. I just don't know what I did with it, especially since I had moved twice after, so God only knows that that was lost. So
Oh
I have a
man.
huge creature hanging from the roof here. So like, it reminded me of it when he passed away. I was like, oh man, I was just talking about that.
No, that's good. I'm glad because like I kind of remember, but I don't know if I'm just manufacturing the memory now. But
Yeah, think about it, and maybe little by little you'll remember that.
we were passed around there. We did so many things. We lived there.
I know, I know. So, anyways, we'll move on now.
All
I'll
right.
move on to something that you actually have more knowledge than me of, The Last of Us. I never played the games at all, so I went into it. I was like, you know what? I'm a horror guy. I'm like a survival horror guy too. Whatever. Let's watch it. I know I've seen 100 clips of the game as throughout the years. I know people love that shit, but I went into it cold turkey. I had no idea what I was watching, and I'm all caught up. You're one episode behind at the time right now, where episode 8 already came out, and I think there's one left. I think ninth is the last. You were at 7.
7.
So I'll try not to spoil anything for you, but you already played the
No,
games.
go for it. Yeah. Do you
So-
like it so far?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's very good. I think it's everybody tries to compare it to the Walking Dead, but I feel like if you watch this show, the least thing in it are the clickers or the infected. It's all like just dealing with the society riffraff and
Yeah.
trying to survive from one outpost to another and shit like that. Like I think in 8 episodes, there's maybe 3 scenes with infected in it.
No, yeah. I mean, everyone's gonna go to Walking Dead right away because that's
Because they want to say it's a zombie show, which it technically can be, but it's not.
yeah. But Walking Dead is like the biggest thing in the last 10 years or so, and that was a big deal. And before Walking Dead, there was zombie shit before that. So that
Right.
Walking Dead is like the standard now.
Right.
But
You,
yeah,
you,
I
play-
agree with
you
you.
played both of them?
Yeah, I played both games.
So you
Yeah, I played the first game actually twice.
and the DLC?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Okay.
played,
So,
I played
so
the
like
first-
that. So like episode 7
Yes,
was the DLC.
the extra scene with the carnival with the mall thing. Yeah, you
Right.
can play that as a game. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I stumbled across the first one. I didn't play it when it first came out. That game came out, I think, 2013.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So I think this was like 2016 or 17 after I had my first kid and I was at home a lot. I stumbled across it. I think I downloaded it. Maybe it was like the free first level free or something. I
Hmm.
download so many games, and I started playing it and I liked it and it hooked me right away. And I played the entire game all the way through, which is something I didn't really do as a grown up for a long time. I
Uh-huh.
told my wife this game's really good. And then what I liked about it was not only playing the game, but the cutscenes, like the story stuff.
Movie.
I
It's a
really
movie.
wanted, yeah, I really wanted to know what was going on. I didn't feel like I had to skip it.
Hmm.
And then they re-released when part two was coming out. Part two took forever. They re-released part one special edition, and of course, I suckered it. I bought the updated version. I played it again,
The remastered or
the
whatever.
remastered one where it looked better. Yeah, my son got into it. He used to like playing it. Whatever.
I have it on my queue actually. I'm gonna get it. I haven't played any of them, so I'm like, I might as well.
The whole time, this will make a great movie. And yeah, I'm glad HBO did it because I knew it was gonna happen. When HBO did, I said, okay, it has hope.
Yeah, it has money behind it, and
It needs a lot of money just for it to look real. Because
hmm
and the big thing I liked about it, why it's different than Walking Dead, is even though Walking Dead's been around forever, everyone acts like it just happened. You know, this one,
yeah, yeah,
this one, the majority of the story takes place 20 years after. So when I was playing the
yeah.
game, I remember telling my wife, "It's crazy. It's like Walking Dead, but it's like 20 years later, so everything's all rotten. So it's like I Am Legend, but even further apart. Where you see
Yeah, they do
structures
one leap.
collapsing.
They do one giant leap.
Yeah, 20-year jump. Yeah, just
Yeah,
like a game.
which is great because they want to show you the chaos of what happened, and then just cut through the bullshit and just be like, "This is the future
It's a
here."
new society. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think why I think it was a good time that it came out now. Enough time passed post COVID, or COVID, it's not so close to everyone. It's more like now it's already like a 9/11 or something where you want to analyze it, right?
Right.
And the world's different. So it's like imagine how much the world changed in what 2, 3 years.
Well, it won't take
Imagine
long.
something like this where it's like massive.
It won't take long. Society will crumble real quick,
Exactly.
real
And
fucking
I
quick.
love shows. I love anything, game, show, story, where it's
Hmm.
20 years later, apocalyptic, and you like to see how society, the details, what makes it good, whether it's The Matrix or Terminator,
Yeah.
even like Children of Men. Oh, it reminded me of Children of Men. Do you remember that movie, Children of Men?
Yeah, it's a great movie. Yeah.
Where it's like, well, that's not really
Not
post-apocalyptic,
yeah,
but
it's
it's
not too far.
borderline,
It's
but
more
it's like,
militaristic.
yes, but it's
Children of
like already
Men.
like everyone knows that everyone's gonna die soon because there's no babies being born. So everyone just doesn't give a fuck. And it's like chaos.
Right.
And I like that aspect of the show and the game. The
Hmm.
game started, the show obviously it's gonna be different because it's a show. They
Now
have
that
to
you say
okay,
that,
ask me anything that's different. Yeah.
is it a lot that they've changed, or
No,
just small nuances here and there?
no, not a lot. Just the structure because it's a show. The
Okay.
game, the game starts with you waking up as Joel's daughter.
Oh, her
And
point of
shit's
view.
already going down. Yeah, there's already like a rumble. She's calling her dad. He's not home. You're walking around the house. And then it's similar to the show, but not specifically. The neighbor turns into a zombie and breaks in, but it's not the old lady with the cookies and all that shit.
Right, right, right.
They did a story thing to it. Yeah. The show
But
starts
then,
with that flashback of the 60s, them arguing about fungus. Remember? That was really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That was the guy from the Mummy. You recognize it?
Oh, yes, yes,
The
yes.
brother.
I
Yeah.
recognized him immediately. I was like, holy shit, I haven't seen that guy in forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a show, so they don't have any of that stuff. And then there's a little story in the beginning. It just starts at you're the daughter. Joel
Okay, so
comes home.
in the game, they don't give you that prologue or warning from the past like
Nothing.
this one did.
No, no. It just starts. She wakes up. Something's going on. He comes in. That he kills the neighbor, tries to attack them. He shows up with his brother, and they get in the pickup truck, and they recreated the whole scene too when they're driving.
Shot by shot.
When they're inside the
Almost.
car, yeah, that's how the game
Yeah.
is. It's like when you can look around with the game. You're in the car and it's all like a cutscene, but you can look around 360.
Sure.
See everything happening. You see the plane crashing, people running, you run out. Then it turns into Joel. You're Joel after that part. And then it happens. She gets shot the same way. The guy shoots her. And then
Yeah, it's a military guy too. He was a
military
military guy,
guy,
a
yeah, yeah.
soldier.
Them escaping, like kind of like an accidental shooting type of thing. And then it wakes up and he's 20 years older, and same thing as the game.
I could see why they added the little TV 60s TV flashback episode. It's a TV show, and they have to assume half of the audience, if not more, have never played
Yeah,
the game.
yeah, yeah.
So they have to feed you what's going on more than the person who went out of their way to buy the game and they already know kind of the synopsis of it. So I can get that, and I actually liked it. I usually don't like when they have to spoon feed you everything, but I like the fact that it was a vintage TV show clip. They give it to you one time, and that's all they ever give you again. We just cut to the forward. This is happening, and then jump to 20 years later, and then that's it. We're kind of on a straightforward timeline from here on forward.
I don't know if you remember, because I think I remember you didn't like the movie that much. So I don't know, after years gone by, if you've seen it more. I Am Legend. Do you remember how it started? It was very similar.
Very similar. Yeah.
Started with the news footage of what's her face, the actress Emma Thompson, saying that it cured cancer.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about
Yeah.
how the cure changes your body, and then it just cuts to 4 years later, and it's the disease.
I Am Legend
Similar thing.
is a very good movie. What kills I Am Legend once again is
The ending, the third act.
the CGI.
That bad
They
decision
supposed
to
they,
make them
sup-
all CG all the time.
they
Yeah.
made everything CG all the time, and it made it to me like it takes me out of it, and it becomes a blob of CGI fest, kind of like a Marvel movie. It's just like
Yeah, but it didn't. It looks horrible now,
it does look horrible
and
now.
it didn't look very good back then. It looked noticeable back then.
And you have great fucking acting going on. I mean, the whole heart wrenching thing with the dog.
Yeah,
Like you feel for this, all this shit. But then as soon as it turns into like, CGI vampire party, it's like, fuck, dude. It just gets me out. And that's what put a bad taste in my mouth. They're trying to do a sequel, by the way.
we'll see.
But this time there's no guns. Will Smith is just smacking people.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's so many things can go wrong. And the first movie took like 20 years to make. It was going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, remember? Initially.
God. I Am Legend.
And there were still vampires then. They keep changing it. But okay, so really quick,
Uh-huh.
also the fact, is it a zombie show? I mean, any movie, any show, I mean, it really has to deal with the humans, because you can't have
Anytime
a
there's mindless humans, you automatically assume they're zombies. That's the thing.
Yeah, you always have to have the human element, because we always fuck each other over.
Yeah.
But another thing is, like, are they even really zombies? Because it's like a fungus, so it's like a bacterial infection.
The scary part is that this exists.
I know, with ants and stuff.
Dude, and with beetles and shit, and they're like, if
If it jumped into humans, it would be.
if the like temperature of the earth maybe shifts too much to one side or whatever, and it makes that thing have to survive by trying to adapt to other beings like humans. That's scary shit.
Yeah, I think it's our body temperature is too hot; it wouldn't survive. But if our body temperature dropped to a certain degree, it could technically survive in our body. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you look at the footage of the actual thing, it takes over even dead carcasses of animals and bugs, and it controls their limbs.
Yeah, it's like a
You
puppet.
think about that as a real, not realistic, but I'm saying a more realistic way you can think of zombies happening in real life is something like that. A fungus that can get into a freshly diseased, a decomposed body that still has the muscles intact, and it can get inside and like control the body. That's some creepy shit.
Yeah,
That's scary, man. That's scary.
so I'm glad it happened. Pedro Pascal, he's hot shit right now.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
Console, he's so hot right now. He's fine.
So
He does
handsome.
good. Even though if you think about it, he's like he's acting as a gringo, but it's fine. You know what I mean? They made him look pretty much like Joel because he's not that old. So
Yeah,
he said in the other episode 56, probably like around our age, I'm guessing him.
yeah.
He's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
He does good. The girl is another big thing because when I saw the first trailer for the show, I was like,
Doesn't look like her.
I didn't feel the girl.
She's a great actress, though. If you watch Game of
I like
Thrones,
her. No,
when
I
she
like
got
her.
cast, see, I was a huge Game of Thrones guy, so when she got cast, I was like, oh, she's gonna
Oh, is
kill
she
it.
in Game of Thrones? Okay, I didn't
She
continue.
was she was the queen of a kingdom.
Oh, okay,
Her
good.
little girl ass would be like the biggest
She looks
badass.
like a queen. She looks like a Game of Thrones girl now that I think about it.
She's 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 English. If you hear
Yeah,
her
yeah,
in
yeah.
interviews, yeah, they're British.
But that was just me because I'm used to used to the game. And I was like, who is this girl? Who is she? Whatever. She does fine. She's really good, actually.
She's good.
And then basically, like the whole, it's a game. So the show is gonna have scenes that it's following the game, but you know how a game is. Most of it's just walking around doing shit. So they
Yeah,
have
like
to like
Resident Evil.
they have
Resident
to
Evil
add
shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
they have to move things along. So it's not exactly the same, but all the majority is there. The second episode,
Uh-huh.
that's the one with the clickers, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the big money scene, I mean episode with the big battle.
Now, one thing they did in the show that I don't remember from the game is that scene when they're seeing all the zombies like in hibernation and
Yeah, on the
they're all
ground.
connected. Yeah, yeah.
Like a hive.
Yeah, I mean they're connected. That's all in the game, but that was a good scene that's not in the game to explain quickly how it works. Because in the game, that thing's too. If you touch things, it would
Yeah,
trigger
it's like
like the
vines.
zombie. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they explained that in a scene, which was good. The whole scene is the same, where the girl has to test, dies. That's just like in the game. He's stuck with the girl alone. They hate each other. Now they start bonding. You know how it's gonna go.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
The scene, the one episode that I heard there was a lot of controversy was the one with the guy from Parks and Rec.
Yeah, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. In the game, you come across that house that they were living at.
Well, yeah, I knew because everybody
Backstory
was
about
already
it, yeah.
going. No, everybody was going already nuts. You know how it is on Twitter
Yeah.
and shit.
They
That
did
is just like a random character, and they gave him a whole backstory.
yeah. Remember,
Yeah,
Resident Evil when you find papers and you read it and shit like that? You find like a suicide note and explains everything. Like
yeah.
they
No,
did that and
this
made
is
a whole episode from it.
this is
Yeah.
the one thing I will say. It's a very touching episode. It's very emotional. They did it. Uh, they made I want almost to say a pointless character have a little too much time. If I'm not mistaken, it's the longest episode of all of them.
Wait,
And
what?
it's about a character that barely has any time in the games. So, I mean, in that way, I can see why I would be pissed because I'm like, from what I understand, the fucking season finale is like 45 minutes. Why did that one get almost a 2-hour movie? It was ridiculous.
It
And
seems
it's
like it's an artsy fartsy
it was
episode.
like an
with
artsy
some guy
film.
had to do it.
It was a fucking artsy film, and it was very good. It was almost like a movie within a movie.
It felt like one of those episodes from the Animatrix.
It did.
Where
It
it's
did.
just like
It's
something
inside the
related
world.
to it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there were very well written characters. I like the whole idea of they pretty much have a neighborhood for themselves and they've lived their life in this chaotic world trying to fake as much as a real life as they can, and they kind of pulled it off, you know. I think that there's like the one scene where the raiders do try to come,
Yeah.
and then you have the cameo by the actual stars of the show,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was too long of an episode that they could have used better for maybe the season finale or whatever. I didn't complain about the episode. I thought it was very well written. I thought it was a very good episode. It was very sad. It's fucking depressing. But then again, almost every episode is, because let me tell you something. The following episode with the brothers
Yeah.
in the apartment building, that shit crushed me, bro. I was like, oh my God, that is some fucked up shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that in the game?
Yes. Basically in the game, every time you bump into somebody,
You know they're going to get it.
you're together for a while, you become friends, and then they all die. Yes.
Okay.
That's like a
Okay.
recurring thing in the game. Yeah. You never. When you play the game, you start becoming like the characters where you're like, okay, I'm not even gonna care about this person because they're probably gonna die in the next chapter. You're listening to their story, you're like, he's gonna die, he's gonna die. But yeah, it's like that.
Man, but it's like, dude, they make you care so much, and then they pull the Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones will kill the characters off after a season or so. This is like one episode done. One
Yeah.
episode done. I was like, fuck.
You know how it is. This thing
Brutal.
is it became popular, so it's not planned, so they could ruin it. It's not
Yeah.
like it's a planned thing. So by the time part two comes out, I don't know how they did their
It,
deep
it is a planned thing.
renegotiate.
It isn't Game of Thrones where they ran out of books because this motherfucker still hasn't come out with the last book. They had to invent shit. This is 2 games. The whole story and the DLC has been there for years. They have it planned. So, I mean, there's not like they have to really
Oh
not
yeah, they
know
can come up with
what.
things. Not a big deal.
No, it's not a big deal at all. Now, the only character thus far that has annoyed the shit out of me and I felt was truly unbelievable, and I'm like, nobody would follow this bitch, was the leader of that
Of
military
the
town.
militia lady, the sweet lady.
And I don't know if it's because I will always think of her as the neighbor from Two and a Half Men.
Yes, she always plays that character where
The high
another
voice and
movie. She was in another movie where she was like a slutty whore, but she talked like that. Do you remember? She always plays those characters. Oh, she
with
was
that
on the
voice.
show. Wait a minute. It was a show. Was it Nip Tuck? No, it was Dexter. She was on a show where she was a killer.
Oh, I don't know.
And that lady, yeah, the frumpy looking lady, yeah, she's been in a lot of stuff.
Super high page for. I'm like, they're not gonna follow her just because her husband, who's dead now,
Was it her brother? Her brother.
or her brother, right, was somebody at some point that helped them.
I
In this
like
type of world, after a while, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, nobody's gonna listen to her.
the pet peeve of mine is every time she holds a gun, it doesn't feel threatening, you know? And she looks like an actress holding the gun. And there's a couple of scenes she's holding the gun. I'm like, one thing I didn't like, I mean, I think the first episode where they show her, she walks in and there's a hostage and she does some like badass thing where she kills the hostage even though it was her friend or the old man.
Oh, that's how they
Yeah.
first introduce her. She's interrogating him.
Yeah,
It's
she's like, oh,
he looks like an old man who's like a priest or something.
one of those ruthless, like, fanatical ones where you can tell that they once would care, but they have a greater cause and then they just kill them.
Right.
And then there's another scene when she has all the hostages and they give information and they send in the squad to kill them. She's like, burn the bodies. And then
Yes.
later on, she's holding a gun and she waits too long to shoot the Henry guy. But I guess maybe she had a connection with him. But that scene when all that shit comes out, that was good.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
probably got a little bit like World War Z a little bit.
That's where the budget of this whole entire show went, because that episode, I mean, the show so far, unless they're holding something for the ending, the big set pieces were that
Yeah.
and the mall for the DLC episode. Everything else has been just
I mean,
wandering
yeah, that's pretty
around.
much how it is. Because remember, you're looking around, so there's a lot of zombie action in the game, but it depends how you play.
Right.
What zombie action happens during the cutscenes is limited to the story.
Sure.
But
These types of like post-apocalyptic type of shows, like this one in particular, they always, to me, feel more like Westerns.
yeah,
Society feels like Westerns. They're all like small
it
towns.
goes down to basics with the horses
Like this
when they come into town.
Where he finds his brother is like they actually have a saloon, they have a movie theater,
Yeah,
they're
it was
actually
really
trying to redo society, you know?
And it reminds me a little bit of The Stand.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody,
Sure.
everything was abandoned. There was no zombies, but everybody was dead. They had to rebuild. Did you recognize who plays his brother by any chance?
No.
He was the bad Terminator in the last Terminator movie, the Mexican Terminator guy.
Why would I remember
didn't
that?
even see it. I don't know if you saw that one. But in the
No.
trailer, remember he was the one that would turn black, whatever, the black goo.
No, I did see it. The one that he's an exoskeleton inside.
Yeah, that's the same dude.
It's garbage.
So
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
me the last episode, because I know they're already in the snow. Joel's already hurt. So in that last episode, does it end at the location that they want to be at? Where are they when it ends?
When it ends,
Are they like in
let me think hard for a second there, because in that episode, I'm trying not to say anything out loud because you haven't seen it,
I
but
don't know, but tell me because I'm pretty sure they followed it. Unless it's a spoiler warning for people watching. No,
I
no, they
mean,
already watched it.
this another thing where it's a new episode, so they have to introduce a new group of people.
Yeah.
So you have like this preacher guy who has a town who's like slash cannibal.
Okay.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Um, he finds Ellie who's hunting deer because this guy is like in a coma practically back at a house. She kills the deer, but they find it first, and she like threatens them or whatever, and they leave her alone. But of course, they come back for her, and they kidnap her, and then it starts to turn into this whole weird ordeal thing where the guy is almost courting her to be like his partner and all this stuff. Is this like in the game
Yeah.
as well? Um, in the meantime, Joel is coming out of it, so he has to come get her. Um, Shit goes down. The priest's
Is there like
right
a
hand
fire? Is there a
man.
fire or anything with a fire?
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. When she fights him at the end, she burns down the house or whatever the hell
Like
that
a
thing is.
structure, like a
I
bar
mean,
or a cabin, it's like a
technically,
cabin or something.
it's actually a resort, an
Okay, yeah,
old resort.
ski resort kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. And his right hand man, the cannibalistic priest guy, is actually the voice actor who plays Joel in the game.
Oh, okay, good.
He's
Cool.
the actor. Um how it ends. Fuck, now I can't remember. What's the last scene of that show, that episode? Why is there something you want to ask that happens that I'm trying to think what the hell happens at the end.
Um, so it ends in the ski resort. They're not somewhere else. They're not in another location at the end.
At the end, I know that ship burns down. Joel comes in, he helps to fucking whatever, but she single handedly kills the fucking guy. She goes ape shit on him.
If there's only one episode left and it's 45 minutes, then yeah, I guess if there's only one episode left, if they're following the game, they're gonna have to go ham on that last episode. It might just be like all action, all like a big action scene. Unless they're gonna stretch it into season two and not end the game, not end the show with the end of game one, because
It could be. It could be.
between game one and game two, there's a gap of years.
Yeah, because she's older.
She's older.
He's older.
Yeah, she's older, but there's a gap in the game. They don't have to do the gap. They could be the same girl, they just dress her different. But there's a little bit of a gap, not a long time, like 3 years or something. There's a little bit of a gap.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're gonna end. They might end this series in a big cliffhanger, resolve it in season two, and then go into the game two. That would kind of suck, though. I
Look,
think they should go all the way with the last episode and then end it like that. Because in my opinion, the game ends kind of like in a cliffhanger already.
well, does it really? So it
Kind
doesn't
of.
have a conclusion?
I mean, it does have a conclusion, but it's not like oh, the world is saved kind of conclusion. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
It has somewhat of a conclusion, but it's not fine. There's you can continue with it. It's not like everybody blows up kind of thing. So we'll see. We'll see. Because like the whole point where he's taking her somewhere, right?
Yeah.
We talk about he's taking her to the facility where
Yeah, exactly.
they're
Because
gonna
they want
find
to
a cure.
test her
They're
out and
gonna
all that
apparently
shit.
find a cure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So they're not there yet. Is that what you're saying? They didn't get to that facility where they're gonna find the cure?
No, I don't remember that. I'm thinking about it and I'm like, how does it end? I have to go back and rewatch it because I don't remember if anything happens at the end or after all that. Do they just escape and it ends? I don't remember.
I remember in the game how it transitions. I do the whole thing with the fire and the crazy people. That's a big part of the game. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
well,
part
they
of the
don't know
game
they're
where you're
eating
her.
people. The townspeople don't know they're eating humans.
No, I know.
They tell them it's venison, but
Aside from the opening scene where you play his daughter, the whole game you're playing Joel. When
right.
he's injured, the whole part where it's her by herself and he's like recuperating, the game you play her.
Yeah, makes sense.
So you're her for a while, and that's when she goes on all the adventures, and there's a whole part where you're in this burning like cabin. That part of the game was so hard. There's enemies coming in, you have to kill them and kill this guy, and he's like running around, and you have to set the place on fire. I remember that. And
Yeah,
then I don't know how they
they
get there.
shortened it. They shortened it for the show because it's literally her and the guy just he's trying to get to her or whatever, and she's beating the shit out of him with like a
And
knife or not, I don't remember what, and then she throws like a thing on the wall and it starts the fire. You
okay,
know, so it's a more like condensed version
yeah,
of
yeah,
what
yeah.
you're trying.
The same thing. Yeah, yeah.
Joel is coming in from the other side and he's like trying to get to her, so he's like killing his way through. You know, um, but
I'm
it's cool when he wakes up from like his trying to recuperate. He's still fucked up, but it's almost like a montage. It's almost like a Rambo montage of him like hunting down the people in the gang,
oh, okay.
looking for her. You know, it's pretty cool.
So I'm guessing they could do it in 45 minutes. Um, I guess it's possible. Now I'm thinking that they might stretch it out to the next season, but they would have had to have planned that already, though. I doubt that they would have just left you hanging unless it's an editing decision. I don't know.
You know what? Let me look it up real quick.
I mean, 9 is probably it, but just go for 10.
We'll make it a two-parter.
Maybe they have a different ending.
Um, why can't I get a clear answer? It is 46 minutes.
And that's the last episode.
Yeah, it's called the Look for the Light.
Maybe. I mean,
46
remember, it's a
minutes,
game.
but that's probably including credits.
Exactly. So that's at least, I don't know. It's interesting.
41 minutes, 42 minutes,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
it is possible. I mean, 40, let's say you consider that like the final act, like the final scene. 45 minutes is a lot. If it's like the final at the end of the movie, the last 45 minutes, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, in the game, it takes long because you're playing, but I guess if I'm trying to visualize it now.
We're gonna have to recap with you once the it's all over, and you tell me how much did they cut out, if they pulled it off, or was it a cliffhanger ending where they didn't even get to the whole ending, and we have to wait till
We'll
season
see
two.
now. Because now I'm starting to not get worried, but like now that it's become a big deal and everyone's watching it, and I wonder if people are even gonna like the way it ends. Now I
Yeah,
think about it.
we'll see. I mean, regardless, it already got renewed for season two, so you're getting
Yeah.
the whole shebang. Is there any other DLC content, or was that the only one?
The only one I remember is the one where the flashback where you're playing with your friend in the mall where you would hang out.
Well, I guarantee you,
Maybe
there'll be
there's
a
more.
there'll be another DLC dropping after the season ends out of nowhere.
Oh,
Oh,
there's tons of stuff. I've seen people that redid scenes from the game with the actors, or vice versa.
yeah,
Take scenes from the game with the actors now, or they'll take scenes from the game and put whoever the girl that plays Abby now, and
yeah.
they
People
do
are
all
bored.
that stuff. Yeah.
So that'll be it. Okay, so that's it for The Last of Us. I think we kind of, I think we'll get back to it on
For
the
now, yeah.
podcast because I'm very curious when it ends what you think about that. I mean, the last thing I got, and I know you didn't watch it, is Megan, M3gan, as everybody calls it.
And Threegan,
Yeah,
that 64 stick. Yeah.
it was actually good. You know, I was
I've been
surprised.
wanting to see. I just never got around to it. It looks good. The effects are good.
I honestly expected to hate it. So my expectations were bar none. I mean, I was like, I'll watch it. All these new modern movies, these new horror movies are either totally a miss with me or they surprise me. This one surprised me. It was actually it knew what it was. You know what I mean? Everybody compares it to Chucky because it's a
Yeah.
doll. Um, I didn't see. I haven't. I don't care for Chucky. And after the first two, I can't tell you anything about any other Chucky movie because I didn't watch any of them.
'Cause the new
But
one was a robot, right?
I was gonna say they're saying it's a lot like the last reboot of it, where it's like an animatronic toy. The difference is that this is not a toy; it's more of a like an AI robot that's there to help out in the family life. So it's kind of like
a
to
fucked up,
babysit,
yeah,
keep
fucked
the
up
kid
version
entertained.
of the Kubrick AI movie.
Right, right. Something along those lines, exactly. So it's it's um it's a sort of weird combination. It's an actual horror comedy. I didn't think it was going to be a comedy. I knew that there was going to be maybe some things in it because they always show the stupid dancing or whatever. But there's some moments that actually made me laugh for real. I was like, that was unexpected. It's funny. Um, and it has like these Paul Verhoeven esque commercials
Oh, okay, good.
for the toys that the company makes. I believe the movie starts with commercials. And I was like, oh, this is great. If the movie's going to be like this, I'm all in. And there isn't that many, but there's enough that it gives it that flavor to it. Okay. It's kind of like, oh, it kind of gives you that whole, it's a toy company that is just looking for the hottest new thing. They want to have one leg above the competing brand, and they know that they're working on some kind of like AI toy. So the main girl from this is like the hot genius, of course, that the company has. She's like the brains that does like all the robotics and shit. And their big seller is her invention, and it's literally like a Furby. It's like a little animatronic creature, and they're milking it. There's like thousands of colors, and the movie starts with one of those ads for one of those things, and it's funny as fuck because it looks like a '90s commercial for like a Furby, but it's fucked up. You know, it's like the Furby is like AI, so it learns and it talks shit. It's funny as shit. But at home, she has sort of like on inside the office, she has a crew working on an experimental robot that she doesn't want the company to know that she's doing because she's using a lot of their budget to do it. And one thing leads to another. They end up pitching it. The guy ends up loving the idea, and it's going to be mass produced and all this shit. But at the same time, she's taking it home because her sister's kids. I mean, I don't know if you want me to say it, but I don't know if you care. Spoiler?
Yeah, go.
When the movie starts, it's like a little girl with her parents, and she's playing with the Furby in the back seat, and they're on a road trip.
Oh,
It's one of those ordeals where they're arguing, and she's playing with the Furby, and it falls on the floor, and a truck hits them head on and kills the parents. So the main girl of the movie, that's the
yeah, the
the
inventor.
creator, it's her sister's kid that she gets thrown on her to come live with her and raise her. So she starts to use this robot to keep her entertained because she's not like a mom.
Yeah.
And she's like a super like she's a working woman, and she's like a big career woman, and she has like 100 things where she doesn't have time for this kid. And obviously the kid is like scarred because she just dealt with all this trauma, so she needs attention and all. So she becomes best friend with Megan. Megan starts to become very like protective of the girl. So then funny things start to happen. Like there's like this intrusive neighbor who has a dog, pain in the ass lady who's always like nosy and all this shit. And one scene, the dog attacks the girl because they're playing in the yard, Megan and her. And Megan looks at the dog, and you could tell that she's like, oh, I'm not going to allow this shit to happen again. So at nighttime, she goes and kills the fucking dog.
Yeah,
Eventually, the neighbor keeps causing problems, so she goes and kills the fucking neighbor.
yeah,
In the shit.
it's like a stock. It's like the good son with Macaulay Culkin or something.
Yeah. And then as the movie goes along and people start to realize that she's doing fucked up shit
And the rocks the cradle.
to an extent, she starts to try to disconnect her or give her overriding commands because she is her master technically, you know,
Directive 4.
something like that. And she starts to like get pissed at her for trying to do it. And she gets to a point where, unlike Terminators, she kind of can override herself to not listen to her. And then it starts to get out of control, and then it starts to turn more into like child's play where She's just killing things that are people just to like survive on her own, and it turns into a whole other thing, you know. It's a good watch. It went by pretty quick for me, and it was like fun. I was never bored. I never thought this is stupid. I thought the whole dance thing that was played out, it didn't bother me. It was funny. She's just weird like that. So yeah, I mean, I think you should check it out. It's like they have it everywhere now on all the streaming
Yeah,
services.
it's everywhere, and the effects are good, right? I've seen images and clips, and it looks good.
Yeah, because they're smart. Because they're all practical. They got a little girl wearing an animatronic head and shit. You know, it's not CGI. It's not like something that doesn't look. It's always a physical body there. And since it's dressed like a little girl,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if it looks like a little girl because it works.
yeah.
Now at the end, there's a giant robot on robot battle, and she gets her fucking face smashed in and all fucking torn apart. It starts to turn more into Terminator,
Okay.
specifically Terminator 1, where she's like crawling around and shit, you know, and
Yeah,
her
even
face
like
is all
the end of the first Child's Play, he was all burnt and robotic.
yeah, but he still looked like a little toy.
Oh, okay.
This is a robot, like a robotic exoskeleton. A robot.
Mr. Roboto.
And then there's a cool twist at the end. Mind you, she's AI. So just because you kill the body,
Yeah.
there's
Was
like
there was a movie a few years back. Wasn't it a similar story? The one with the Ex Machina. Wasn't it a similar idea where the guy had a inventor had a robot and she becomes obsessed with one of the dudes or something?
yeah, but that was a very creepy, sexualized story. It was like a very obsessed movie. It was really that movie was fucking weird.
Machina.
With,
Yeah.
with Oscar Isaac, wasn't it Oscar Isaac?
Oscar Isaac was a scientist, and then
Yeah. I remember that.
was Dominic, whatever. And then the
Yeah.
girl who was in there got famous, and then she did the Tomb Raider movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Something, something, something. I forget her name.
Oh yeah, something. She's
Something,
big now.
something. I forgot. She disappeared. So that's that.
That's that, man. I mean,
So what? I mean, going up to current events. I mean, I haven't watched Mandalorian 3. Is it good so far?
it's only one episode so far. I actually didn't care for the first episode that much, surprisingly, because I love everything Mandalorian, and I was like,
Wearing wearing its welcome already.
no, I wouldn't say that it's wearing its welcome. I just don't like the way they kickstarted the opener of the season. It tried to be like too much of an action set piece that was truthfully stupid. It made no sense to me. I was like, what? Why? They have like this huge scene with all these Mandalorians, and they have a kid who's like sort of being baptized to be a Mandalore.
Mhm.
And this giant, they're doing it at a lake, and this giant fucking crocodile monster comes out of nowhere. It's huge. And the first like 5-10 minutes of the show is an epic battle of them getting killed by this thing. And I'm like, dude, first of all, they all have jetpacks. Wouldn't it's Star Wars lore by now? Why don't you go to the high ground, get away from this monster? Either just leave or shoot missiles and get it. Oh no, they all stay on the beach. It's a giant beach fucking fight, and they're all getting
you know how it
killed.
is, man.
And of course, at the last second, the Mandalorian comes in with his ship and kills it with missiles. I was like, that's retarded. That was
No, but it's a giant machine now.
It is.
They
It's a
probably
big-
have visual effects companies come out with an action scene every episode, and they write the whole episode around that action scene. It doesn't have to make sense. You have to shoot it in the volume and do it. You know, like, okay, we're getting closer now. What do you think about Indiana Jones 5? You think it's gonna be a train wreck? Or you think it might be okay? Or are we in for another Matrix 4?
I don't think anything is ever going to be as bad as Matrix 4. I think it's not going to be as bad as
We said that
Crystal
before.
Skull,
I hope not.
but I'll be honest with you, I have slim to high hopes to it. Every time I see these trailers, I'm like,
Well, it's just been that trailer.
it's a CGI shit fest over and over again, bro. And it's like, I get it. You want to do with all your new Star Wars tech, you want to de-age Harrison Ford and have 80% of the movie be as realistic as you can because he's 89 years old. So it's all going to be flashbacks with CGI faced Harrison Ford. You know it's happening.
But even when he's old, it's going to be CGI'd on because he can't do some of that shit. It's still gonna be a stuntman with his old face on there. Like the horse, with him on the horse, you can tell that's all fake.
Of course, yeah, jumping through the subways and shit. I'm like, come on, man, what is this shit?
No,
Fucking
but the New York City, you can tell they probably shot on a street, but everything else is just completely fake that it makes the whole scene. And that's supposed to be like the ticker tape parade for
yes,
Apollo 13 or something.
yes, it's exactly what that. If I'm not mistaken, that's exactly what that is.
It's gonna be a lot of history porn in it. I
I
think
like,
the opening scene, the opening action scene is gonna be him young, like part
yeah,
three.
like young Indiana
Opening scene is
Jones,
gonna be the best. It's gonna be the best Indiana Jones opening we've ever seen, but it's gonna
and
be a
then the movie's gonna go to
flashback.
shit.
He's gonna go back in time and do an Avengers shit. Because I mean, rumors that the time travel is involved, that the dial of
How are you gonna go
destiny.
back? Regardless, he's still 80, bro. It's like, what are you gonna do?
No, no,
CGI going forward? No.
no. I'm saying it might him be going back to something that we never did before.
Listen,
Oh, dude.
to me, the last movie was blasphemous. They should have never fucking existed.
Before, yeah.
And this one is going to try so hard to make up for that that they're going to over try and it's going to be the same shit stew. Okay. It's going to be too epic, too unbelievable for a fucking old ass Harrison Ford to be doing. It's going to be so much CGI. It's going to look like Star Wars when it should have never looked that way. And then they're going to try to come at us with the heartstrings by being like, oh, but we have Salah. Remember
He's
him?
gonna be in one scene. I think he's gonna be at the airport.
I wouldn't. I would let him be in the whole fucking movie. If you
Oh, I
wanted to
know,
feel
but
like the rest, bring him in.
he's gonna be in that one scene, I think.
They have to have 100 Nazi flashbacks just for it to
No, the
feel like
Nazis are
Indiana
back.
Jones.
The
Just
Nazis
to
are
make it
back.
feel like, yeah,
Did
they
you see
got they got to punch a few more Nazis just to feel right, you know?
you saw the trailer, but did you see the Super Bowl spot? That's the only other thing
Yeah,
they've done.
yeah.
Where
I've
they
seen
show
all.
him like fighting young Mads Mikkelsen and then seeing him old.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they have Mads Mikkelsen in it. I don't know, man.
It looks good though. The shots we've seen, it looks good.
Who's directing it?
James Mangold.
Oh, it's James Mangold. I don't know, man. I don't know.
He's
I'll be honest with you. I got more hopes of him doing it than Spielberg at this point.
he's done good movies.
I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not expecting to be blown away by. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be 50-50. I don't think it's gonna be the shit show of the Crystal Skull, but I feel like
I think
it's
it's
never
gonna
gonna capture that magic.
they're gonna try to go for a Force Awakens where they're gonna make it feel like an Indiana Jones movie that we remember. It won't be as good, but it's not gonna be so jarring as Crystal Skull. Remember, we're watching it, we're like, this looks like the Mummy. Like this is
Yeah, with the little monkeys hanging from trees in the chase scene, and you're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Crystal Skull. We saw it in the theater when we came out. We were all standing around
We were
looking like
so
idiots.
disgusted.
I
And
remember
we
I
went
remember
we
what
went
you
to
said.
the big Egyptian theater.
Yeah. I remember when you came out, and it was you, Mario, me, Bia. I don't remember if anybody else was there. Maybe Dina. I don't know if maybe Dina was with us. And I
Maybe.
remember you were like, what the fuck? I felt like I watched like some Mummy Returns shit.
Except I
No, you
love the
said
Mummy Returns.
actually, why does the Mummy movies felt more like Indiana Jones than this?
Yes,
That's
there you
what
go.
you
It's
said.
true. Yeah, I love the Mummy movies. I mean, maybe not the last one. I don't even know if I saw that.
The third one.
The,
Yeah,
the Shanghai one or whatever the hell it was.
The jelly one. Yeah, that one wasn't good. But man, yeah, that last Indiana Jones is like that restaurant or that thing you tell your friends, your family. Oh, it's so great. I used to go there all the time. And when you go there with everyone, it's a piece of shit. And you're like, I swear it was better.
What the
It
fuck
went
happened? It's
downhill.
under new management. They fucked it up.
I would have hated to drag if I had a kid at that point, drag my kid saying Indiana Jones and going there and saying, well, sorry,
Oh my god, bro. Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, the last thing I could tell you that I just finished yesterday watching, I binge watched. I told you about this shit. There's an anime called Chainsaw Man.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
It's only one season so far that is out now, and that shit was incredible, man. I was hooked. It's one of these like it's very Japanese. Obviously, it's an anime, so like the stories are crazy. It's a world where like it's modern times and like people make pacts with demons in order to use their powers, but by doing so, you're giving up something.
Okay.
So like maybe you gave up half your life. Maybe some people gave up an eye or an arm or whatever, and they all work for like this detective unit who battle supernatural stuff. That is one of the bloodiest fucking things I've seen in a while, bro. I mean, it's called Chainsaw Man. When the guy he has a cord in his chest under his clothes like a chainsaw. When he pulls it and he turns into the chainsaw demon, his head is a chainsaw, his arms are chainsaws, and a human body. He's just fucking running around, cutting everything to pieces and blood going everywhere.
Like the lawnmower scene.
It's fucking crazy, bro. I mean, that show is so good because it's like you actually care for the people. They kill people off like Last of Us. Like you start to care about the backstories of all these people in the unit, and they all start getting killed off, and you're like, what the fuck? Holy shit. It is so good. It's like 12 episodes. And I'm like, damn, bro, these animes, they take years sometimes for a season to come out. I'm like, fuck, that sucks. I got into it right when it came out, and I'm like, fuck, for God knows how long. But I may do a more in-depth review on Chainsaw Man because it's what makes it so good is that it has a lot of nods to horror movies and pop culture in general. Even the intro has one of the greatest intros ever. It's like a bunch of cutscenes of different things happen. And one of them is like, they're in a bowling alley, and it's like right out of Lebowski. The guy's shining the ball. Like, it's almost like they rotoscope them. The way they move, it's like the same scenes of the movie. It's really cool. Really fucking cool. There's a lot of horror nods. All kinds of shit going on, man. The movie's fucking, I mean, the show's good. If you have Crunchyroll or anything like that, I'll send you the link.
Yeah, Crunchyroll, okay.
Just watch it. Take your time watching it. All the episodes are probably like half an hour or so. Awesome shit. But that's the last shit I saw. I won't hold us up with that. So that's all I seen. Anything else?
No, that's the last. So the last movie you saw, made no other big movies, summer movies, Christmas movies you saw. Still haven't seen Avatar.
No,
I'm waiting for it to be available, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen Avatar. I haven't seen.
You finally saw Top Gun.
I saw Top Gun. Yeah, I've been binging a bunch of like obscure horror movies for the channel. Like I've been showing you links lately. The last one I did, I haven't released yet. It's an old 80s movie called what's it called? Horror Vision? Is that what it's called?
Horror Vision. Sounds good.
Anyways, it's like I've just been binge watching these random short old school 80s movies that I never got to see and I always hear about.
And Shudder, right? Shudder has a bunch of them.
Oh man, Shudder, believe it or not, Tubi, they're the kings right now of those movies, man. Tubi and Pluto and shit. They have more
Pluto
than
TV is good. Yeah.
Netflix and stuff, man. Like I did that Neon Maniacs. I think Tubi had it. Like nobody has these movies. I'm like, oh, I need to see this. Like I want to do a review on that Bill Paxton vampire movie.
The one that the Frailty?
No, not Frailty. That's not a vampire.
Near Dark.
That's one that I want to do. I've been wanting to rewatch that for a while now.
Don't you have the special edition, or you and Dina had it?
I had it, but I don't even have a Blu player anymore, so I just got to stream that shit.
That might be hard. All those, I mean, related to Cameron, a lot of Cameron stuff is not there. Like you can't find True Lies or Abyss on Blu-ray.
Yeah, because everybody has like the rights and they hold on to it and they don't allow it. That's
he has final say in it, and he hasn't gone around to making the deals. You can find digital versions of them.
Yeah,
you can find True Lies on digital 4K. You can rent it, but you can't buy it. It's weird.
I mean, some of these movies, like the last one I saw, nobody had it. I had to literally watch a 720p version of it on YouTube.
Which movie?
The one I was telling you now, the Horror Vision or whatever that was called. I'm sorry, Terror Vision.
Terror Vision. Okay.
Terror Vision. That movie, if I would have seen it when I was younger, it would be one of these like nostalgic kicks for me because it reminds me of The Projectionist. Everybody's such an out of like extreme 80s stereotype. So like the daughter is like Cyndi Lauper, super extreme punk. The boyfriend is a super metalhead guy who's Rico, Uncle Rico from the Napoleon Dynamite.
Dynamite. Oh, the guy from Monster Squad.
Yes, exactly.
The werewolf guy. Yeah.
When he was young. The dad is like one of these guys that's in a million 80s movies, but the whole premise is it's like this swinging. It's a family, and the parents are swingers. The house is so ultra cheesy 80s with the artwork and the statues everywhere and neon lighting. And he's getting one of the new satellite dishes installed, and it's like the 80s, so they're huge, right? So he's doing it himself. He's installing it. He fucks something up with it. In the beginning of the movie, it starts off in a different planet. It reminds me of Mystery Science Theater 3000 with bad models and shit. And it's like a trash planet where they get rid of like vermin and stuff. And somehow what they do is they take like creatures or like parasites that they want to get rid of, and instead of killing them, they zap them to other galaxies. They just get rid of them. And this guy's fucking around with this dish, and he zaps in one of those parasite monsters, and it's in the TVs.
Oh shit!
Right?
Howard the Duck shit.
Yeah, exactly. So before Howard the Duck, so like they start getting like coordinates on the controller, and the dish moves, and they start getting channels or whatever. They have like a Elvira ripoff that hosts a horror show within the movie multiple times. She's called Medusa. She has like the Medusa things. And you know what it reminds me of? It feels like Gremlins 2. That vibe. It's hokey, but it's so on the nose, trying to be like what like cheesy advertisements and TV shows were. It's like that, but from like 1980, whatever the hell.
But it also, what you said, reminded me of that movie with John Ritter where they have that cable box from hell.
Stay tuned. I bet you Stay Tuned copied a lot from this movie.
Yeah, sounds like it.
The effects are great. The monster is disgusting. I mean, think of like Chet from Weird Science, but more deformed and just covered in shit. And it has like tentacles with eyeballs. And the killings are fucking great. Like crushing heads and shit. It's super good. Like it's very well done. And I think the director, he went on to do like a lot of like he did like the Trolls movies. And he worked on he did a bunch of those Full Moon cult horror movies. I don't know if you know any about those, like
Full Moon.
Puppet Masters. Full Moon, they did Puppet Masters. He went on to do a bunch of shit like that, but they got the effects guys who did Ghoulies and all this shit, and you could tell it's like the same style, whatever. But anyways, that's enough of the rant. I think we covered enough here to start 2023, bro. We have like almost a 2-hour podcast today. So hopefully we could
nice, yeah. Well, don't worry, well, you know, the Oscars are so exciting. We're gonna have so many things to say.
Oh god, yeah. Maybe many more slappings this time, who knows? But
did you watch that live last year or you were asleep?
No, I woke up to the aftermath.
Me too. I usually watch the Oscars, but
did you see the Chris Rock retaliation this week?
No, I saw thumbnails on it. I didn't really click on it.
He goes to town finally on them. So
about time, man, do it. But no, man, you know, I usually watch the Oscars. I usually watch the Oscars, but that weekend last year,
yeah,
the Keys that weekend. So we came home that night from the Keys, and I kind of forgot. It was the Oscars on, but we were so tired that we didn't even watch it. We fell asleep. And I think I woke up in the middle of the night and I checked my phone, and then social media was going nuts with that. And I think even Carlos texted me. He's like, "Hey, bro, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock." You know, and at first I'm like, what's going? I thought it was some shtick, and I saw the video. And I think I went back to sleep thinking, it's some bullshit. And then next morning, I think I was taking a dump or something, and I watched the video. And I came out and go, "Babe, look, this is what they're talking about. I don't know. This looks like it could be legit." And we watched it, yeah.
And she said, "This is what you do when you're taking a shit in the bathroom? Is that why you're in there 2 hours?"
Everybody's on the phone. Yeah. That was crazy, man. That was crazy. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be a comment about it, but...
Yeah. Well, for today, let's wrap it up.
All right.
We will be doing more of these at a more leisurely pace. We won't be so delayed. So this is us making it up to all 3 of our reviewers here. So
follow-up episode.
We had to recap all of 2023 until now. So
we'll come back when Last of Us is over. We'll come back talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
depending on
I'm very curious to see what you tell me about the way it ends.
okay.
So that'll be it for episode 5 of the Creatures of the Night podcast. I have a lot more of these little cult vote reviews dropping soon, and we always have a bunch of stuff on the channel coming on. So if you want to follow us, like always, go to thecreaturesofthenight.com. There's a link tree there to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc. So please, guys, if you can, subscribe, ring the bell. And until next time, David,
Next time, Nachi.
we're out, baby. Keep
We're
it
out.
real.